9,
Sister start.
8, 7,
7.
6,
We have maintenance
5,
start.
4,
3,
2,
1.
0.
Booster ignition.
Liftoff.
And liftoff of
Rocket launches may seem commonplace today. In 2018, there was an average of more than 3 launches every week. But in the past, the idea of sending rockets into space was purely science fiction. It wasn't until the early 20th century when a man named Robert Goddard tried to convince the world that space travel didn't have to be fiction. Decades before the space age began, he envisioned using rockets to send science experiments into the upper atmosphere, beyond the heights attainable by weather balloons at the time. He even imagined and calculated in detail what it would take to send a rocket carrying a massive flash powder to the surface of the moon. The powder, he believed, could be ignited on the surface and would be visible from Earth. The public caught wind of Goddard's wild ideas, and it became the topic of national conversation and press. A lot of it negative. Goddard's reply: "Every vision is a joke until the first man accomplishes it. Once realized, it becomes commonplace." Goddard persisted with his dream. He went on to build and launch the world's first liquid-fueled rocket, the basic design of which is still used to this day. In July 1969, 50 years after Goddard first proposed sending a rocket to the moon, Apollo 11 launched on the 6.5 million pound Saturn V rocket. Among the 3 astronauts on board was Buzz Aldrin. And on his journey to the moon, he carried with him a miniature version of Robert Goddard's autobiography. Thankfully, Goddard was not forgotten by history. His name lives on to this day. On May 1st, 1959, NASA dedicated its first spaceflight complex in his honor as the Goddard Space Flight Center. 60 years later, the center continues to fulfill his vision by building spacecraft, instruments, and new technology to study Earth, the Sun, our solar system, and the universe.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 60th Annual Goddard Symposium. We're very, very happy to have you all here. My name is Jim Way. I'm Executive Director of the American Astronautical Society. I will be your MC for the next 3 days, along with Michelle Thaler from the Goddard Space Flight Center and Steve Arnold from here at APL. So again, we're very excited to have you all here. I want to get right into opening comments. So without further ado, let me introduce Ron Burke. Ron Burke is Associate Principal Director at the Aerospace Corporation and also the AS Board President. So Ron, welcome.
All right. Thank you, Jim, for that gracious introduction, and thank you for your excellent role, the value of your excellent role as Executive Director of AAS. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you all here. I'm Ron Burke, serving as President of the Board of the American Astronautical Society, and on behalf of the board, thank you so much for being here. A key intent for AAS is to grow and strengthen our network across the space enterprise, and this event is one of the premier opportunities to do that through the year. Would like to provide hails and recognition for the collaboration between AAS with NASA and Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab. We definitely value and benefit from the close working relationship across our institutions. We also have great appreciation to our sponsors, Aerojet Rocketdyne, Johns Hopkins, Northrop Grumman, KBR, Lockheed Martin, Ball, and Aerospace, and the valued role that Space News brings in being our principal news coverage. We also have tremendous appreciation to the Planning Committee, led by Michelle Fowler and Steve Arnold. Thank you for the valuable contributions and bringing all of the great content together today. And to the value of the many different dimensions of space science that we'll hear covered in the program over the next 3 days, including earth science, planetary science, heliophysics, astrophysics, all covered in the course of the next couple of days. One area that I would like to have us all be mindful of or thoughtful thinking about is our way forward. We do note that our view out of the windshield is different than our view through the rearview mirror. There are many areas of space that are evolving and emerging at a significant pace. And we are recognizing that in our discussions today, we'll be hearing about several of these areas that we've captured in this slate of 8. Certainly the space science, as just mentioned, also leveraging commercial and ISAM and some discussion on the cislunar domain. So just in wrapping up these opening remarks, the next key point that I would like to share with you all is the importance of workforce and the value of us all thinking forward to a workforce 2030. We are extremely fortunate to have a cadre of people here from the University of Illinois. Welcome, and we so appreciate your participation and look forward to your questions and the engagement. So thank you very much. So we are very fortunate to have, I am very fortunate to have the opportunity to introduce Dr. Bobby Braun, and I'll hand it over to you, Bobby, for your comments and remarks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that. I'm Bobby Braun, and on behalf of the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, welcome. We're really excited that you're here. This is a marvelous honor for us. It's the first time that the Goddard Symposium has been here in Laurel, Maryland, on our campus, and frankly, we're just above the moon over that. I just want to acknowledge all the hard work that went into the planning here, and thank you, Jim, for AS, and the Goddard Space Flight Center, who's been a partner in developing the program here and in many of the things we do here at APL. The planning committee has just done an outstanding job. The program itself is fantastic. I was running through it yesterday, and every topic that I was interested in, from space weather to planetary defense, to going back to the moon, human exploration, commercial interests, workforce. I mean, it's all in there. I can't believe we're going to pack all that in for you all. So I certainly want to highlight some of the APL missions that will be represented in the talks. You'll get to hear about DART. You'll get to hear about Dragonfly. You'll hear some about our Lunar Surface Innovation Consortium. Speaking of Dragonfly, it was in this very room last week that Dragonfly passed its preliminary design review. And so that team has got a lot to, thank you. That team has a lot to celebrate. A very large team made up of folks from APL, Goddard, Lockheed Martin, and many other organizations across the country that are working so hard on the Dragonfly mission to Titan. That mission's got partnerships all around, and if you look around here today, the symposium's full of all kinds of organizations and partnerships and collaborations, and that's what the space enterprise is really all about. APL needs more partners, frankly, and we appreciate you all being here and look forward to conversations, on the side or at the breaks to talk about Dragonfly or other missions in the future. By the way, if you noticed in one of the break areas out in the lobby, there's a half-scale model of the Dragonfly flight system. It's only half scale, right? The real one's about the size of a car. So check that out when you get a chance. I also want to mention the state-of-the-art facilities here at APL, some of which you'll be able to see if you choose to go on the tour Thursday afternoon. On Thursday afternoon, we'll take you to Building 201, which is the newest facility on our campus. It's home to all kinds of the state-of-the-art research labs, including things in astrobiology and materials research, autonomy, human-machine interaction, artificial intelligence. Frankly, for those of you in the fifth row there, it looks a little bit like the campus of the University of Illinois when you're in that building. You'd be hard-pressed to know that you weren't on a college campus. There's a lot of distinguished speakers here that will be speaking today and throughout the symposium. I welcome all of you. I do want to give a personal shout out to Nikki Fox up there in the middle section. Howard County's, I should say Howard County's own Nikki Fox, who is the most recent of the associate administrators at NASA. Nikki was recently appointed to run the Science Mission Directorate. Thank you for being with us, Nikki, and we're all looking forward to your session on Friday, so make sure you mark that. It's a very important session. And then as I close, I want to close with a personal note. I realized when the cover slide came up about the 60th anniversary, I'm doing the math in my head, it was 36 years ago this month that I was sitting where you all are in the fifth row there, that I was an undergraduate student who won a competition to speak at the 25th Goddard Memorial Symposium. And the undergraduate research I was doing formed the work that I presented. It ended up becoming the first technical presentation I gave, and it was the first journal article in the AAS Journal that I ever wrote. When I went to the Goddard Memorial Symposium, that year was at Goddard, I remember it still today. I was greeted by Jerry Soffin. I spoke right before Tom Young, who at that time, he had left Goddard and was at Lockheed Martin, I think, at that time. But these were heroes that I had watched as a young child land Viking on Mars. And to get to interact with them at the 25th Goddard Symposium, it relit a fire in me about Mars exploration and set a course for my entire career. So I want to just take a moment personally and thank AAS and Goddard for that opportunity that I had so many years ago, launching my career, to be honest. And with that, I'll wrap up these remarks and hand it over to Dave Mitchell. Dave, as most of you know, is NASA's Chief Program Management Officer, but he's also presently serving as the acting Goddard Center Director. Dave?
So before I get started, I'll tell a quick story. It was about 2 weeks ago. I had a similar engagement like this it was a basketball tournament, HBCU tournament in Baltimore. And I was to come out at center court during the middle of the game when there was TV timeout, and I was told I had 2 minutes to give my talk. So I'm all ready, and a person introduces me, and it takes about 30 seconds of my 2-minute allotment. I didn't realize it at the time. And, so I start reading my great talk. Felt like 20 seconds, and I look up, and the guy says, "You got 10 seconds." And I'm like, oh, in conclusion. So hopefully nobody has a timer today on me or the hook for me. Again, it's great to be out here at APL. I've had a long history of working with the group. I think my first experience was on the near-Earth asteroid mission. I was on the launch vehicle side of things, so I worked with this group, and it was an awesome initial collaboration for me. I have been at Goddard for a long time and a long time attendee of this event, so I really am excited. I heard we have a large group of respondents that are coming out through the course of the next couple of days, so I'm really glad to hear about that. This is a place where we can bring together the government, the industry, the academia. Great to have Illinois in the house. Really, really great stuff here, and talk about our plans for the future. I joke about this, but I mean it truly. If some of you may remember a song from the 80s where the song went, "The future's so bright, I gotta wear shades." You know, and some people will remember that one. And I feel that way about the opportunities all these different organizations have in the future. So really looking forward to this. And one of my key things is collaboration, and collaboration across, there's so much work, there's so many opportunities. Each one of us can't do it alone. We got to work together closely. So I'm looking forward to this. Couple other things I wanted to mention, that the challenges are certainly immense. Challenges when it talks to what's happening to our planet and monitoring the climate, charting the path for human exploration. I'm old enough now, I actually do remember Neil Armstrong stepping on the moon, and I can't believe it's taken so many decades till we're poised to have, you know, since 1972 when the last person stepped on the moon. We're on the cusp of getting back there finally, but I never would have thought when I was a kid that we'd be waiting so many decades to get back there. So, but I'm excited to still be here, not only at NASA, but on Earth, be able to hopefully witness that grand experience when it does happen. Few other things I want to mention real quick is, it was already mentioned, but I want to say it again, thanking the sponsors for this event. Again, thanking Jim Way, his staff, Ron Burke, Michelle, and of course Steve for what they did in all the planning, and to formulate this agenda. And again, if you haven't looked at the agenda, there's a lot of exciting things. I won't be here for after today, but others in the senior leadership will be coming from Goddard out here. The partnership between AAS and Goddard, we've been at it for 60 years now, and even the COVID-19 pandemic didn't slow it down. We just had to pivot and operate a little bit differently, but I'm so glad we're back in this kind of place. I want to thank Bobby and the Johns Hopkins University APL for this, what we're embarking upon today, and also the partnerships on many fronts, including Parker Solar Probe, New Horizons, the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, which I had the opportunity to be here for that big event at the end, and that was amazing. So really kudos for what you guys pulled off there. As was already mentioned, there was big announcement last week at NASA headquarters, and I've worked with Nikki Fox through the years, and it's really great to have her in the seat that she now resides. And so congratulations on that, and looking for the partnership going forward. And lastly, I'd like to thank the attendees. We all know how important it is to share knowledge in this business, and it gets back again to my word collaboration. And as we go through this symposium. And again, to the students, speaking for everyone when I tell you that it is an honor to have you here today. You are the future of this business. While many of us have been here for many years, we know the contributions become meaningless if we don't help nurture the next generation. It really is, at this stage in my career, one of my favorite things to help in any way I can the next generation. Please don't hesitate. Usually the younger folks are not hesitant to ask questions. Please stop us along the way, ask us any questions. Again, on behalf of Goddard, thank you to everyone who's had made this event possible, and I look forward to a lot of engaging conversations in the days ahead. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Jim. Thank you all. Have a great time.